I'm just gonna start by asking you what research is going on in your lab now. I know you have various postdoctorates and PhD students and also master students. So I know there are different research going on, but could you just give us a
Mhm.
little overview of it?
Yeah, of course. I would be happy to. So as you know, my research area is in pharmaceutics. So formulation development, manufacturing, and quality control of different dosage forms or delivery systems. So specifically, there are several ongoing projects in my lab right now. So for one of them, actually, you are working with Dr. Xie, right? So that's
Mhm.
one
Yes, I
of our FDA. Yes, that's one of our FDA grants. So we are working with the FDA and trying to help generic companies to develop high quality but low cost drug products. So as you know, when drug products are first developed and enter into the market, they are very, very expensive. But after a protection period of time, other companies can also develop similar drug products. So we are helping those companies to identify what are the critical parameters we need to control so that we can have the same quality products but much, much cheaper. So that's one of the projects. So we are working on two different dosage forms. One is suppository, the other one is cream. So you learn all this in the class. So that's part of one big part of my research. And also we have a collaboration with Rhode Island Hospital. So that's more on almost like a nanotechnology or advanced drug delivery system. So we're looking at using either targeted nanoparticles or those in situ forming hydrogels. So like outside our body, they're like a liquid, but once injected in the body, they can form like a depot, like a gel, sustained release drug. So that can improve patient compliance, right? Imagine patients, they don't have to go see doctor like every day to get injection. You can go like every few months. So we're working with some collaborators at the Rhode Island Hospital. So that project is specifically for brain cancer therapy. And I also have other projects. I have some industry collaborations. So we are working with industry companies to help them develop suitable and reproducible in vitro performance testing method, like in vitro release or in vitro dissolution. I know you are doing labs this semester, so you probably know a little bit about in vitro release testing. So those are kind of like a few areas or ongoing projects in my lab right now.
Okay. Seems like they all sound interesting. I know
Yeah.
I have this year with the creams
Hmm.
and yeah, mostly the creams with the pH and like image sizing.
Yeah.
So because you have so many things going on in the lab, what are the methods that you use to analyze these drugs?
So we use HPLC basically for content determination, right? You can see how much drug is in that product. You can also detect whether there's any impurities or degradation product. So we use HPLC, then we use, I know you have seen the lyophilization machine in our lab. So we can prepare dry powders or dry form. We also work on some protein acids, like Dr. Shear, she worked on um, like Western blot and PCR. So when we do like gene delivery, so we use those a lot. And I don't know if you met Dr. Tian Qiwan. So she's working on the brain cancer therapy project. She does a lot of cell culture work to see how particles or nanoparticles can be uptaken by the cells. So we use some imaging tools like confocal or flow cytometry to monitor how much particles can be uptaken by the cells. And also when we use confocal, you can actually see how drug enter or particle enter into the cells. We can do live imaging, so that's really cool. What other tools? So we also use GCMS or MS for either identification or quantification. Then we use NMR to look at structure and the interactions between polymers and also the compounds. And we have quite a few dissolution system in the lab, right? You probably have seen Dr. Shi work with the France diffusion cells. So that's like a typical test tool for like topical products or cosmetic products. We also have a really cool instrument in the lab. I think one day you will get to use it. So we can, it's called the nano precision system. We can use it to make nanoparticles with controlled size and distribution. And right now I didn't mention it earlier. So we have a continuous manufacturing system in our basement. You know, we have the pharmaceutical development institute in the basement. So that's kind of like a manufacturing part. So we use that instrument to make nanoparticles.
That seems like a lot of things are going on in the lab, which I think is good. So, do you think it's beneficial to have students in the lab? Like, is it a one-way street? Like, oh, it's beneficial for the students, but it doesn't really matter to the faculty, or does it help both sides to have students in the lab?
That's an excellent question. I think it helps both. Definitely would be beneficial for students to learn different lab techniques, and also when you work on specific project, that can help you understand whatever you learn in the class as well, right? Because you have hands-on research experience. But for us, for faculty member, I think it's also very important because we create an environment and all the students, they can learn together, but also when they make progress, they also help us with our research, right? So we help each other, we learn together. So I think it definitely benefit both parties.
Okay. And I know when I wanted to work in your lab, I came to meet you personally because you were teaching me that semester. But let's say a student who is still very new to this, or like they're just going to their junior year or their P1, and they want to
Mhm.
work in a lab, but they've never met any of the professors. What's the best route for them to go about it?
So I would encourage those students to think about, you know, what they are interested in. Because right
Mhm.
now you can just Google and check faculty's website to see if you are interested in research. But it doesn't hurt just reach out to faculty members. So of course, you know, we encourage students. I think if you are interested in research, you definitely should start as early as possible. Just don't wait. You know, just
Okay.
email any faculty members. I think all the faculty members are very supportive. They will definitely return to your emails.
Is there anything that you're planning to put out really soon, that you're planning to publish really soon that you can share?
Sure. So we have quite a few papers are either under review or ready for submission. So like the in situ forming hydrogel system I mentioned, so we use that for eye cancer therapy, also for brain cancer therapy. So we use the hydrogel, we can incorporate nanoparticles in the hydrogel, and nanoparticles can be released slowly from the hydrogel to reach the target site, for example, tumor site, because they can recognize tumor, right? So they don't kill the healthy tissues. So that can improve targeting effect. And also, Ryan, you met in the lab, he worked on a project on cyclone dextran complexes for pediatric patients. That's for HIV therapy. So we use cyclone dextran to incorporate those polywater soluble drugs and to improve dissolution. When we improve dissolution, we can always improve, not always, oftentimes we can improve oral absorption, so we can reduce the dose. And another goal of that project is to mask the taste, because we have pediatric patients, right? And
Mhm.
most drugs are very bitter or taste awful. So we want to mask the taste so that would be easier for little kids to take those medications. So that paper is currently under review.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing what your favorite parts of research is?
I really enjoy the research. So pharmaceutics, so you have learned different stages of drug development. Pharmaceutics is almost at the end of the product development, so it's very close to patients. That's why I mentioned that by projects, we work with FDA, industry company, right, and the doctors. So we actually make those dosage forms so they can be put on the market or they can be delivered to patients. So I think that's always very exciting. You can see something actually can benefit those patients to improve their life qualities, right? For example, maybe because we use the sustained release technology or nanotechnology, so they don't have to take pills like 5 times a day, probably only take once per day or once per week. That will make people's life much easier. But more importantly, because what we do, our goal is to improve the therapeutic efficacy and reduce toxicity by using different dosage forms, right? So that can benefit patient a lot. So I think that's the exciting part of the research. Also, why I like doing this very much.
Thank you very much. That was very informational. I really appreciate it. And I also appreciate you doing this interview with me. It was great talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you.